There's a version of motorcycle maintenance that mechanics practice on their own bikes, and it looks almost nothing like what they do in the shop. Right now, across the country, there are professional mechanics who spend their days telling customers to use one product, follow one schedule, trust one method, and then go home and do something completely different on the bike, sitting in their own garage. It's not malicious. It's not a conspiracy. But the gap between what they tell you and what they actually do is costing you money, shortening your engine's life, and in some cases putting you at risk you don't even know you're carrying. In this video, you'll see exactly what that gap looks like. 7 things mechanics quietly do for themselves that they've never once written on a service ticket. By the end, you'll understand the mindset shift behind all of them. I want to be clear about something before we get into this. I'm not here to trash mechanics. Most of the people turning wrenches professionally are skilled, careful, and genuinely good at what they do. But there is a reality in every trade. The advice you give a customer has to be simple, scalable, and defensible. You're giving it to 100 different people with 100 different bikes and 100 different levels of attention to detail. The advice a mechanic follows on their own bike is different. It's personal, it's specific, and it's built from years of watching what happens to engines when things go wrong. I've been inside enough garages, both professional shops and private ones, to see both sides. The differences are stark. There is one thing I'm going to come back to at the very end of this video, something almost no mechanic will say out loud. Everything else we cover leads directly to it. Keep it in mind. Here are 7 things mechanics do on their own bikes, starting with the ones that might surprise you and building to the one that changes how you think about everything. Secret number 7, the oil they actually run. Most mechanics will hand you a bottle of whatever brand the shop stocks. It is usually good oil, but it is not always what they pour into their own crankcase. When a mechanic buys oil for their own bike, they are not shopping by brand recognition. They are shopping by specification. Full synthetic, specific viscosity for the climate they ride in, JSO MA2 rating if the bike has a wet clutch. They do not change it because the calendar says 3 months have passed. They change it at a mileage interval that actually reflects how hard the oil has been worked. Mileage is the number that matters most, but if your bike sat for over a year with low miles, change it anyway. Oil degrades over time even when it is not being used. If you rode 800 miles in 3 months, your oil is barely broken in. If you rode 4,000 miles, it is time regardless of what month it is. What is in your crankcase right now? And do you know the last time it was changed by mileage, not by date? Secret number 6, how they actually warm up a cold engine. The old school advice is to let the bike idle for a few minutes before you ride. Some people do 30 seconds, some people do 5 minutes. Neither one is what a mechanic does on their own bike. The actual practice is simpler and harder to stick to. Start the bike, let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds, just enough for oil pressure to establish, and then ride. But ride gently, deliberately. No hard acceleration, no high RPM, no full throttle pulls until the temperature gauge reaches operating range. The reason long idling is a problem is that it warms the coolant and the cases without warming the cylinder walls and piston rings evenly, especially on older carbureted bikes. But even modern fuel-injected engines benefit from warming under light load rather than sitting at a standstill. You build heat in the wrong places first. The rings do not seal properly against a cold cylinder wall. Over thousands of cold starts, that adds up. Mechanics know this because they have seen the inside of engines where the owner let it idle for 10 minutes every morning and thought they were being careful. The carbon buildup tells a different story. Get it up to operating temperature under light load. That is the warm-up. And once you know that, the next secret explains what is happening to your engine during those first cold miles and why how you lube your chain before a ride matters more than after. Secret number 5, chain tension and lubrication. Timing. Here is something almost no one knows about chain lube. timing matters more than product. Most riders spray the chain after a ride as part of their cleanup routine. Mechanics lube their own chains before a ride. The reason is simple physics. A warm chain allows lube to flow more easily into the rollers and side plates, the contact points between chain and sprocket, where lubrication actually matters. The O-rings themselves are sealed, but the outer surfaces open up under heat and load. Applied before you ride, the lube gets worked in as the chain heats up. Applied cold to a post-ride chain, it sits on the surface and flings off within the first 10 minutes of your next ride. On chain tension, the service manual gives you a range. Mechanics set their own chains toward the tighter end of that range, not the looser end. The manual's minimum is built to accommodate a wide tolerance. It is a floor, not a target. A chain running at the loose end of specification, over time, slaps and wears your sprockets unevenly. You end up replacing components you did not need to replace yet. Check your chain tension when the bike is cold, lube it before the next ride, and you have already extended its service life beyond what most riders ever achieve. Secret number 4, what they actually inspect before every ride. The 5-second walk around that most riders do, glancing at the tires and maybe squeezing the front brake, is not what mechanics do before they throw a leg over their own bike. The actual pre-ride check runs in a specific sequence, and it takes about 2 minutes once it becomes habit. Tires first, pressure by eye if you know your bike well, and by gauge at least once a week. Then the chain, check tension and lube. Then a quick fluid check on long rides, the brake fluid reservoir, and the coolant overflow. Then the controls, both levers, both switches, and the throttle returning smoothly to the closed position. It is not paranoia, it is pattern recognition. A mechanic who does this sequence every day starts to notice the first time something is off, before it becomes a problem. The tire that looks slightly low at the start of a ride. The throttle that feels a fraction heavier than yesterday. I have seen bikes come into shops with rear tires so worn the cord was showing, and the owner had ridden 200 miles that morning, not because they did not care, because they had never built the habit of actually looking 2 minutes before every ride. That is the standard mechanics hold themselves to on their own bikes. It should be yours too. If this is the kind of thing you want to know before it costs you, hit subscribe. I break this down every week, and I don't hold back on any of it. Secret number 3, the brake fluid schedule nobody talks about. When did you last change your brake fluid? Not bleed the brakes, change the fluid. Most riders answer that question with silence. The fluid is clear. The brakes feel fine. There is no warning light. Why would you change it? Here is why. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air through the rubber hoses over time. That moisture does not disappear. It accumulates, and it dramatically lowers the fluid's boiling point. Fresh DOT4 has a dry boiling point of at least 230 degrees Celsius, and higher spec DOT4 Plus or racing grade fluids can go considerably beyond that. But once moisture contamination brings the fluid down toward the wet spec minimum of around 155 degrees Celsius, the margin before vapor lock shrinks dramatically, especially under the sustained heat of hard braking. When brake fluid boils, it vaporizes, and you cannot compress vapor. Your lever goes to the bar. In traffic, in a corner, on a fast descent, that is when it happens, not in a parking lot. Mechanics flush their own brake fluid every 12 to 18 months, not because something failed, because they know the physics, and they have seen the alternative come in on a flatbed. This is a $15 job you can do at home. It protects the one system on your bike that has no backup, and it connects directly to the next 2 secrets, because both of them are about noticing a problem before it shows up on a flatbed of its own. Secret number 2, how mechanics listen to their own engine. This one doesn't have a product attached to it. You can't buy it at a parts store. But it might be the most practically useful thing a mechanic does for their own bike. They listen. Deliberately. Consistently. The same throttle position on the same stretch of road every time they ride. Every engine has a baseline sound, the specific note it makes when everything is working correctly. It is a combination of mechanical sound, exhaust note, induction noise, and chain sound all layered together. Most riders tune it out within the first month of owning a bike. It becomes background. Mechanics don't tune it out. They treat the engine note as a diagnostic instrument because they have learned to recognize the first deviation from baseline, the slight rattle at a specific revolutions per minute that was not there last week, the exhaust note that sounds fractionally different under load, the chain that sounds like it is tensioned slightly differently from yesterday. These are the sounds that cost you nothing to fix when you catch them early. They cost thousands, sometimes the engine itself, when you ignore them until they become impossible to miss. Building this skill takes time, but the starting point is simple. Ride the same road at the same speed once a week, and pay attention. You are calibrating your baseline. Once you have it, your ear will do the rest. The question is not whether your bike makes noise. Every bike makes noise. The question is, do you know what your bike sounds like when it is right? Secret number 1, the actual reason behind everything else. Here's the thing I told you I would come back to at the end. Every secret in this video, the oil, the warm-up, the chain, the pre-ride check, the brake fluid, the engine sound. These are not a list of tips. They are downstream expressions of one thing. One shift in perspective separates the way mechanics maintain their own bikes from the way most riders maintain theirs. Mechanics see motorcycles as machines with tolerances, not vehicles with feelings, not lifestyle accessories, machines. They are built to specific clearances, they run on specific fluid chemistry, and they operate within specific thermal and load ranges. When those tolerances are respected, the machine runs cleanly for an extraordinary number of miles. When they are not respected, the machine tells you, first quietly, then loudly, then expensively. Most riders treat maintenance as a chore, something to get done so they can get back to riding. A mechanic who maintains their own bike treats maintenance as the reason the riding exists. The bike that gets maintained properly is the bike that is reliable at 60,000 miles. That is the bike you trust. That is the bike you actually enjoy riding because you are not spending the whole time listening for a problem or wondering if the tires are right. The professional advice mechanics give in a shop is simplified because it has to work for everyone. The advice they follow at home is specific because it only has to work for one person, them, and they have spent their career seeing exactly what happens when it is not followed. You have now seen the same thing they see. Not because you have been turning wrenches for 20 years, but because you understand the principle behind the practice. Treat your bike like a machine with tolerances. Respect those tolerances, and the bike will give you back something most riders never get. A machine you can trust completely for as long as you want to ride it. At the start of this video, I told you there was a gap between what mechanics tell their customers and what they do on their own bikes. Now you know what fills that gap. It is not secret products. It is not proprietary techniques. It is a way of thinking about a machine with the same precision and attention that the person who understands its internals best would bring to it. Most riders will go home tonight and lube the chain after their next ride, change the oil when the sticker on the windshield says to, squeeze the brake lever without ever knowing when the fluid inside was last changed. Tune out the engine note the way you tune out road noise. You will not. Apply 3 of these tonight. Build the pre-ride sequence into your habit. Lube before you ride. Know your oil interval by mileage. Set a reminder to flush your brake fluid. Your bike will still be running cleanly at 80,000 miles, while the ones next to it in the parking lot are already burning oil. The mechanics who last in this industry are not the ones who know more. They are the ones who ride a bike they actually trust, because they built that trust themselves. Now you can too.